All right, I'm here with OG collector Nacho Luis, aka MMA Cardboard. It's the Halloween episode, baby, and we're going to keep it a little Halloween theme today. We're talking about things within our collecting journey that haunt us till this day. We'll also talk about COMC, our experiences buying and selling on that, and we'll take a look at some of Lewis's massive one-of-ones that he's recently bought and much more. Thanks for coming on, man. The Halloween show.
Thank you for having me, Zach.
Yeah, dude. So to start it off, I wanted to talk to Lewis about things that haunt us to this day. And I only said 3. I'm sure we both have many more, buys maybe that we regretted or sells that we sold too soon. So I kind of wanted to pick your brain and what are your top 3 things that haunt you to this day?
Yeah, when you asked me the question, like you said, there's a lot of cards that throughout the years you kind of regret not holding on to, but it's just part of the process and part of the journey. And some cards you hold on to, some cards you sell, and
Mhm.
I just learned not to look back.
Yeah, it's like those mistakes. We're just not gonna look at them, but hopefully we did learn from some. I know I learned from a couple that we'll talk about here in a second. Also, but I guess we have to address this. You are in a Nacho Libre costume. I am in a Scott Summers Cyclops X-Men costume. Um, these are very uncomfortable for the people that are watching. Me and Lewis were talking about it before we started. The mask is on his face. It's been in his attic for 2 years. It stinks. I can't see anything with these glasses on. So this is going to be an interesting episode.
Once a year, we can power through.
Oh yeah, we'll power through and we'll make it happy, man. And this is what I wanted to talk to about you about first. If I hit the correct button with the glasses on, it is one of the cards that haunts you most. And this was a monster, man. So tell us about this.
That John Jones just um just flashing back to when I first started. Round 2 was my first love. I discovered UFC cards. I went to Target. I found retail packs. And I don't know if you know this or not, but the bronze are retail exclusive. So you would get about
Okay.
one per box. And I actually pulled this card that we're featuring here. And yeah, I graded it. Back in the day, PSA used to put the thicker cards in a thick brick. So that's why it looks a little funky. But yeah, I graded a PSA 10 and it was in my collection for a while. I did since this was the first product I opened, I did have the idea of trying to put this bronze set together. There's 150 cards in this set, and yeah, I had a handful and I kept on buying them, and 16 years later, I'm 2 cards away from completing this set.
Wow, that's crazy. So you actually pulled this from you said a retail box?
Yeah, the retail boxes had about 1 bronze. You weren't guaranteed an auto or a relic or anything. So but you did get about one bronze card per box. I pulled this and yeah, it was in my collection until the market got a little hot and
Yeah.
when I think I saw one sell for about $1,000 and I said I have one too. I'm gonna sell mine and I went ahead and sold it. The only the main reason I regret it is because they haven't gone up in price too much. They're still about a grand raw, but it is one of the cards I need to complete the set. So I need the
Wow.
John Jones, and if anybody out there has a Matt Hamill bronze from round 2, that's the other card that I need.
Dang. So this is a bronze base set. So it was from the retail product, thick boy. Is this a 100 card base set? What are we talking here?
The round 2 was 150 cards.
Okay.
So so yeah, round 1 was 100. This was 150, and yeah, it's crazy that a lot of since they were retail exclusive, a lot of these bronze cards are very hard to find. I think maybe because they were in Target and Walmart or something, maybe kids pulled them and threw them away or something. But it's been easier for me over the years to find a ruby that's number 28 than it is to find a bronze sometimes, which is kind
Wow.
of crazy when you think about it.
Yeah, that is crazy. But that goes to show, like, man, these old vintage products, like, it's kind of all over the place because it's been I mean, you could probably speak on this better than me, but I would imagine back in the day when you were ripping these and when these were on the shelves, people probably didn't look at these as very valuable. So like you're saying, kids ripping them, people not putting them in sleeves, people accidentally throwing them away, and I bet the actual print run on these is pretty insane, as far on the low end as compared to like a retail and what they print today.
Right, right. And these were like they were retail products, so they were actually selling by the pack. So you would go to Target and pick out a couple of packs. So I believe there were about 2.99 a pack. So I remember buying initially like 5 packs, and then I got home, opened them, and I was hooked. I drove back to the Target and bought every single pack they had left. So I think they only had like about a dozen packs, and I bought the rest. And from there on, I've opened quite a bit. I think I've probably opened about I would say about 60 of these retail boxes over the years.
Nice.
I don't even see them on eBay now. But yeah, they're not a good rip because you're not guaranteed an auto.
Right.
But yeah, you do get bronze cards in there, and some of those like this John Jones. If you think about it, you have the 1 of 1, you have the ruby, you have the bronze, which is this one. So this is the third rarest card for John Jones,
Mm,
and then from there you have the silver, the gold, and then the base card. So yeah, this card like I said, raw. I think there's one on eBay for about 1,200 or 1,300. Um, I don't want to pull the trigger on something like that, but
right.
eventually I'll get one and I'll have the complete set, and that'll probably be the last set I build.
Dude, yeah, we're gonna talk about a big set that you completed here towards the end of the episode, but I'm excited to talk about that too. As far as the purchasing, you said you can probably get this about the same as this sold for now, but it would be raw.
It would be raw, yeah. Mine's a PSA 10. I wanted for the longest time it was a pop one. I didn't
Yeah,
look up the pop report. It might be a pop one still, but yeah, I'm sure it's worth graded. It's worth more than a grand, but since it's for the set and it's probably going to go in a binder, it
yeah.
being graded would kind of be kind of hard to display. But yeah, the raw one is about a grand still, I believe.
Ooh, man. So huge, huge, I guess, questions to be learned from that, things to be learned. Do you have anything, would you do anything different? Was this just kind of timing? And like, I mean, I would assume this was a huge come up as far as locking in profits. So you can never really get too mad when you're locking in profits. But is there anything that you learned from this thing that still haunts you to this day?
Um, what I learned, it's like you said, it's I've always been pro taking profit. So when I saw the opportunity to get $1,000, I can use that money elsewhere. So I went ahead and sold it, and I didn't know it was gonna be this hard to get another one
Right.
because I can't see the year. What was the year I sold it? It was
Let me check my
uh
class. 2020.
okay, yeah. So yeah, I haven't seen the reasonable priced one recently, but I'll eventually get one and I'll have the complete set. But yeah, it wouldn't be a PSA 10,
Yeah.
but yeah, that's a card I do regret selling just because there's a hole in my set, and that's one of the cards I still need.
Nice. For my first one that still haunts me to this day, we're going to talk about a risky tale of prospecting, and we're also going to talk about being a noob and overpaying for cards, Lewis. So I bought this card. This was actually the first card I ever purchased outside of eBay. So it was like a direct sale to a guy on Instagram, and Jalen Turner had just came off like an insane submission. I think it was Brad Riddell. He who I was really high on because he was such a good striker and a good guy at Tiger Muay Thai. And Jalen Turner comes in there, beats him up, submits him. I'm like, Jalen Turner is gonna be a champ, man, and I want a sick card of his. So I was looking for some cards, and a guy posted a story sale, and he had this card. This is a tie dye premier level Jalen Turner rookie. I actually really like the design of this card. I really like the tie dye. Everything about it is pretty sick. But I paid $275 for this card, and I didn't even
Wow.
really talk him down that much. And again, this was when Jalen Turner was like barely ranked. He was probably ranked like 12, something like that, lower in the rankings. And what ended up happening was it got shipped to the house, Lewis, and then there was a scratch on it, dude. The dude was a scumbag, didn't even
Oh
disclose the
man.
scratch. So I learned about that. I learned about overpaying for prospects, and then I ended up selling this back when Jalen Turner was on his skid. I actually got a gold of this card, SGC 10, which is way better, but that was a huge loss, basically a $200 loss on a prospect. And yeah, and I mean, he lost a couple after that, and then he even retired. Now he may be coming back, but yeah, man, that haunts me to this day. And that was really one thing with prospecting where I was like, I need to be careful with this. I can't just be spending my card funds for the month or for the couple weeks on these prospects that then don't pan out. So that was a very cautious tale, one that haunts me to this day, man. One that haunts me to this day. What was the next one that you had there on your hauntings?
I believe the other one I sent you was the Hulkster
Oh,
was one
okay,
of the
yep,
ones. That's,
got it.
yeah. So this card here haunts me. It's gone up quite a bit since with his recent passing.
Yeah.
Uh, but this was a tale of like I said, I always was trying to look for different ways to make extra money for cards, for UFC cards. So I found this little hack where I by accident I saw that it seemed like PSA was at the time was grading harder than BGS was. So I started buying these up in low grades. So I would buy them in fives, six, sevens, and grading at the time for BGS was, I believe, was about $10, $12.
Oh wow,
So
okay.
I was able to double or triple my money by buying these, cracking them, submitting them to BGS, and then selling them on eBay. So this card here, I believe, was a PSA 7. I cracked it out, spent $10 to grade it, and then I was able to make a couple $100. I believe I
Wow,
sold this for
nice.
about 300 or something like that. I think I sent you the screenshot, but yeah, that was
Yep.
a little
25.
yeah,
2014.
yeah.
So this is
So
a while ago, man. This is an old
yeah,
time.
so back in the day, that's how I would make extra money. I would crack I became very familiar with this card. I would say I had close to about 20 of these over the years.
Wow, okay.
And I never held on to one, but I would just buy the low grades, crack them, send them to BGS, and make a couple $100, and that would just go to the fund and be able to buy more UFC cards. So it was a nice little hack that I had going. I never held on to one. This BGS 9.5, I believe, is selling for about, what is it, 8 grand, 7 grand,
Oh
something
my
like that. So,
goodness. Yeah, that's
so yeah,
crazy.
that I sold that particular card for $300, 325, whatever the number was,
Oh
and
man.
so that's about a 25x or whatever that calculation is. But
Yeah.
yeah, I do regret not holding on to one of these, especially since I had so many of these. I used to have about a dozen of them. Not at once, but I would buy them, sell them, and I was
Right.
cracking the PSA slabs and then resubmitting them to BGS, and that was my extra card money I was coming up with.
So cool little strategy there on kind of trying to flip. And I've even seen people talk about this like right now, like modern day, with people not necessarily valuing SGC as high as PSA and maybe buying, SGC 9.5s or SGC 10s, cracking, submitting through PSA, and then, potentially you should get a very high grade in PSA too, and you get a little bit more of a premium there. So kind of cool that that's always been happening, and people have always kind of been, coming up with different ways to get value with their cards. I guess what would you do differently with this? Would you try and just keep one in the collection, just in case it's like a lotto ticket? If it, I mean, obviously that's like over 10. That's a decade, so it's
Yeah,
tough to like see, but
yeah, I think what I would have done different is since I had so many, I would have probably just held one for the PC because I used to buy this one and I used to buy the Mexican wrestler Mil Mascaras. So I do have some of his that I never sold.
mm,
So I should have held on to one of these and just to have it in the PC. I was a big Hulkster fan growing up, so yeah, not holding on to one of them when I had so many was a mistake.
yeah, dude. Oh, speaking of Hulk Hogan, I don't know if you saw the video I did the other day about that PFL anthology. They have Hulk Hogan in that product. Does that interest you at all? Are you completely not trying to look into those, or what are your thoughts on that? Kind of mixing the combat sports worlds with PFL, boxing, UFC, and WWE.
You know what? I did see your video. I wasn't aware of those coming out. The first thing I thought it's a ticket dump for Panini. They probably have a lot of UFC stickers that they
Yeah.
can't use now because they lost the license. So that's probably a sticker dump that they're trying to do, getting rid of the stickers. And I know they lost the contract for WWE as well. So that's
Ah,
probably
okay.
that also. They do have a current contract, I believe, with PFL, so they do have PSL. So that's where those stickers are coming from. So I think they're just meshing everything together. The old stickers they have from wrestling, UFC, and PFL. There are some names on there that are kind of interesting, but as far as opening the boxes, just based on so many parallels, I believe they probably printed quite a bit of this. So
Yeah, I could
I
see that.
would not open this. I would probably would go after singles,
Mhm.
especially some of the I think there's some like dual autos, right? Some
Yep.
pairings that look kind of interesting. So something like that would be cool. Um so yeah, it would be interesting once it hits the market to see what those are going for and maybe grabbing a couple of those.
Yeah, always the best, most economical way to collect, right, is to get singles. But kind of cool that we have Hulk coming out in with within the UFC sphere, if you will. Kind of an interesting parallel there with what we were talking about earlier. The second thing that haunts me to this day, Lewis, and man, to see what haunts you and the high stakes you're talking about makes the what haunts me hurt a little bit less. I will I will be honest there. You that was a crazy price differential there between the Hulkster. But one that I regret selling is this Tom Aspinall. And actually, there's multiple things that I regret with this card. One, I should not have graded an immaculate. Like it's just not worth it. It's so risky. You know how it is with those big thick cards, man. Like they're so easy to have little dings, little dents. And this one was pretty clean, but there was like one tiny dent, and I think that's what they really got me on this one. But I actually opened this in a 22 immaculate box and pulled it, and it was a gold Tom Aspinall shadow box, and yeah, it came back in 8, so I regret that. That haunts me. Also, I sold this. I think I sold it right before the title fight, his first title fight, the interim one, and it was an auction. Lewis, I regret selling it as an auction as well because I thought this should be at least like, $250, $300 card, and it sold for 200, so I regret that. And also, I just regret selling altogether. I really wish that I had a big Aspinall card, and man, talk about the event this or last weekend. Dude, it was crazy, and people are turning on Tom Aspinall left and right. But I still think he's a great fighter and could, have potentially finished Gone, even though I like Cyril Gone too. But yeah, I really wish I would have kept this card. I shouldn't have graded it, and I shouldn't have put it up for auction. That haunts me to this day.
Oh wow. Yeah, Tom Aspinall, I do see people are jumping on him. This actually would be, even though he didn't lose, this could be a buy opportunity if his
A
prices start to
hundred
dip.
percent, a
So
hundred percent.
I don't know what the time frame is for the rematch, but yeah, this could be a buying opportunity because I know the point spread's probably going to be a little closer and people might be going for Cyril Gone and yeah, this could be a buying opportunity if you believe in Aspinall going forward.
Yeah, I always love the idea of buying in on people whenever things like this happen. Like it's kind of to me it doesn't really make sense that people are being so mad at Aspinall. I mean, I understand being frustrated with the situation. Basically, both guys lose, right? The UFC loses, Cyril Gane loses, and Tom Aspinall all lose in this situation. So like I feel like it is kind of a good buying opportunity for potentially both of those guys if you believe in them or if you're really big fans of them and they're in your PC and stuff.
Yeah, yeah, I agree.
All right, Lewis, the last one and the most crazy one in my opinion. This card still haunts you to this day. Tell us about this one.
Yeah, my red ink Khabib. I
Oh
can tell the
man.
story that I owned one of these at one point. Um, this goes back to make extra money. Like I've always had a little hustle.
He's a
So
hustler, baby.
I used to be active on Facebook, and Facebook used to have a lot of raffles or Razzies, whatever they call them now. Um, and this card, um, at the time when I entered the raffle, was a $400 card.
Wow. Do you remember
So
like
what I would
can you
do,
kind of
and
give
this
us
is
like a
what
year? Like what year are we talking
um
around this?
what was the year of me selling it, because it would have been the year prior.
Let's see.
It was 2017 when I ended up selling this card, which means I acquired it about the middle of 2016. In 2016, because that's a 2014 card, right?
Yep.
So yeah, his first start was 2014. So 2016, um this was a $400 card, just to give you a perspective how what this card was going for. So it's a beautiful card.
Oh yeah, this is real nice. Got the
Yeah, it's
15 right
5
here.
out of 15. And so what I would do is and some people would like it on Facebook and some people would hate it, but I would go in and give the raffle about 24 hours, and then I would go in and buy the rest of the tickets. So I would buy the rest of the entries. So some people would like the fact that I was filling up their
Right.
raffles. Some people would hate that I had so many entries. So in this particular case, there was about 50% left, and I put in $200 and I bought the rest. And I must have done this about I must have done this about a dozen times throughout the years, and I've won about 10 of the dozen times. So
Wow.
and it also helps out that some people would put like a second place prize, a third place prize, so you don't go home empty handed with so many tickets.
Yeah.
But yeah, I put $200. I won the card. I held it for about a year, and right after he beat Edson Barbosa, I got an offer for $1,000, and I sold it for $1,000.
So you bought in for 200 on a raffle, sold at 1,000. Again, we're locking in profits here, man. $800
Right, and
profit.
that's
But
yeah.
I mean, what are we talking about? What does this card go for now?
I would say this card is worth about $20 to $25,000 right now.
Ooh, that's crazy. I mean, that doesn't surprise me, right? Because his first auto, just the blue base version of 149 is going for 3-4 grand. Some of the nicer ones that are graded. So yeah, so an up 15, 15, 25 grand. That I think you could probably get that all day for this card. That's
So
awesome.
this is about a 25x, just like the Hulkster card that I missed out on.
Eesh.
The thing is, I don't regret selling this one. Like you said, I locked in
Yeah.
a 5x profit on it, and then second, I didn't buy this card. I ended up winning it, so I never bought it with the intention to keep
Right.
it. It was just a quick way. What I would use these raffles for, like I said, was to make extra money. I would win a card and flip it right after. Um, I think this was actually listed for quite a bit because I usually would sell the card within a week or two. When I was trying to sell this, nobody was biting, and it took me a year to sell this, just to put it in perspective of how not light
Oh
Khabib
wow.
used to be in the day.
Yeah.
So yeah, it took a year for me to sell this. I sold it. I locked in a 5x profit, and 10 years later, 12 years later, I'm down 25K.
Yeah. Yeah. So I guess again, things that potentially be learned there. Is there anything you would do differently? I mean, obviously we don't have 2020 vision. We can't tell that this card's going to go through the roof and Habib's going to be like an all-time guy. And you are continuing to lock in profits. So it's not like you're really losing. You're just missing out on more money. So like anything to be learned on that one?
No, I think I am good at locking in profit, but I think this has been the story of my life. I had a Bitcoin and I sold it and it ran up.
Yeah.
So it's the same type thing. This is my Bitcoin story here. So
Dude, yeah.
it's
That's wild.
what I would have done different is I don't know what I would have done different because like I said, that was the going rate. So me like you said, you can't I did always use that money to buy other cards. I've never really taken money out of the hobby.
Yeah.
So the cards I have now are cards like the core cards I have are cards that I really like. Um which is more what I focus my collection to be, like one of ones. So a lot of this money would go to buy like one of ones that I hold now, and are worth quite a bit as well. So I'm pretty much just trading this card for another card that might be worth about the same now.
Got you. Yeah, dude. I mean, it's impossible to know what's going to happen in the future, right? Like, I mean, let's say some weird multiverse out there, right? Like that Jalen Turner card that I bought. He goes on to have an incredible career, and is top of the world. And maybe that card goes from in our universe it sold for 53, in the other universe maybe it's 2 grand, right? So like it's impossible to know what's going to happen in the future. But I think your kind of your like idea or like ethos of like always selling for profit, you can't really go wrong with that. It's not like now you're missing out on potential funds, but like you're in the green, which is the name of the game. If you continue to be in the green on every card, or most of the cards that you get, you're going to be able to snowball that into other things. So pretty interesting there with that big Habib.
Yeah, like you said, it's you always look back, and there's when it was an interesting exercise when you asked me what cards I regret selling, because there's quite a bit. I mean, we can probably do this a monthly segment if you want to do it,
Yeah.
because I've sold hundreds and maybe thousands of cards throughout the years, and there's some out there that you think back, why did I sell this? But you're selling it because there's stuff you can do with that money out there. Especially when I sell something, there's all I always have about 200, 250 cards on my watch list. So if somebody makes me an offer on a card, I know exactly what I want to buy next. So I'm pretty much in my head I'm upgrading, or maybe it's a could be a lateral move, but if you're locking in profit and coming in on something else that you think might be low, that'll snowball over the years. I mean, I've been doing this
Yeah.
for 16 years, and little by little, it's just grown, and it's been because I've sold.
Yep.
So I'm holding on to cards. Yeah, I could have held on to that could be, but yeah, who knows what would happen.
Yep, I love it, man. So I mean that is a monster of all cards that haunt you, right? So I'm gonna come
Yeah,
up
yeah.
with this next story, and it's gonna be like, okay, that's stupid. But and I've told this before, but I think it was an important lesson for me. I had the opportunity to buy, and this was on my watch list for a while. Was the 22 Islam Makhachev first auto? It was a Mojo of 25, and I had an opportunity. I actually think it was this one that sold. He was trying to get, I believe, 350 for it, and I was like, "Will you do 325?" And he like kind of he ghosted me, right? He ghosted me off $50, and then it sold for basically 325.55. So he must have got somebody who, basically gave him the same offer, and then he took it with them. But like, I guess the big thing with me was like, don't let 25 $50, and this wasn't a flip, right, Lewis? This was like, I wanted to have this card and put it in the display. This was like going to be like a PC card. And definitely whenever cards don't pop up often, whenever there's rarity associated, whenever it's something that you want, not necessarily to flip, but something that you're going to be happy with just having in your collection, don't let $25, which is a small percentage when you're talking about 325. $25 is what, like 10, maybe less percent. So like, don't let a really small percentage keep you from getting something in your PC that doesn't pop up very often. And that's one that still haunts me to this day, because I haven't seen many of those pop up, man. And when they do pop up, they're way more than 325 now.
Yeah, that's actually a good tip because I've learned that the hard way, like you said. If there's a card you like and the guy's accepting offers, if you think it's reasonably priced, I would just go ahead and buy it. I see that it's actually going on. Since I am dabbling in boxing cards a little bit. Let's say there's a card that's $75. Someone will list it for $100. If I click on the make offer, you can it actually tells you if there's other offers pending.
Oh, okay.
And I don't know what they're offering, maybe 75, maybe 80, but for $20 I'm not willing to lose that card. So I'll just hit the buy now. Maybe I'm overpaying 10%, 15%, 20%, but $80 to $100, if it's a card you really want, I would just go ahead and buy it now because there's other people out there that are willing to pay $100. And by the time the guy replies, maybe the guy would have taken $80, but by the time, if the guy doesn't see it, if he doesn't reply on time, someone's just gonna sneak in and take it for 100, and then you're gonna be regretting not buying it because $20 in the long run
Yeah.
is not a big amount.
Yeah, and also like that, not to mention like the opportunity cost of, the card doesn't pop up much. It maybe pops up every 3 months or so, and
Yeah,
within 3 months, a lot can happen within the UFC landscape, which I guess could go up or down. But when you're talking about a guy like Islam, I was thinking he was going to continue to win for a while at that time, and I should have known,
yeah.
like, if I don't get this in 3 6 months when another one pops up, it could easily be above that $25 that I'm trying to haggle, and talk them down on. So definitely an interesting thing, and kind of cool to hear that you kind of have had a similar story with that. Maybe it's a universal thing with people, maybe potentially trying to be too cheap on certain cards that don't pop up that often, and ones that they really want, just go ahead and spend a little bit extra. If it's close to the price that you want, sometimes it's worth it to kind of pay up for it.
Yeah, I think it's just human nature to try to get a deal. But what ends up happening is that there's somebody out there that's gonna hit the buy now, and then you start kicking yourself because you were it, I've lost a card for like $10, and then you're like, what was I doing? Why didn't I just buy it? But just the fact that he had the little button there that said make me an offer,
Yep.
you make him an offer, and instead of just paying the full price, because when you look at recent comps, that's what the card's going for. So that's why the guy listed it at that. And here you're trying to be slick and you're trying to be cute and you're trying to save $10 and you're trying to get a win, and then somebody else comes in and takes it from you. So there's certain cards, especially when they're low numbered, even if you overpay a little bit, and we'll probably talk about this early coming up when we talk about like recent purchases and stuff. But yeah, you're better off just buying the card, and sometimes the comps don't matter, I think. And yeah, if you have to set the comp, you set the comp, and that's what I've done throughout the years. I've set the comp on a couple of cards, and it ends up being a good thing.
Nice. All right. That was a fun segment, man. Cards that haunt us. Maybe we can do this every Halloween. We kind of revisit and go over some new things that we've learned. Whether it be cards, that we should have bought, or that we regret selling, or that we should have sold. Even that I'm sure happens quite a bit as well. But thanks for those stories, man. Next up, I kind of wanted to pick your brain on COMC. COMC has been something that I recently ventured into. I sent a bunch of cards off. They took care of it. They've slowly been selling over time. I kind of wanted to pick your brain. I know you're a big COMC guy as well. So kind of just take the people through what your thought process is with COMC, and what you've kind of learned over time using it.
Yeah, COMC has been I've stepped it up in the last year, I would say. Just because I have so many cards just sitting here that I'm not I'm not listing. I'm not gonna list a $10 card, a $20 card, a $5 card on eBay. It's just a time thing for me right now. So they've been sitting there, and like anything, I started with a small sample size, and once you see what's possible and how easy it is to sell these, it's pretty much somebody else doing the work for you. You send them the card, they'll take the picture, they'll list it, they'll collect the money, they'll ship it out, and it's costing you 5% unless you really want to cash out the money. If you cash out the money, it ends up being about an eBay transaction, 15%. But I'll just work in that 10-15% into the price. If it's $100 card I want to sell, I'll list it for 115, 120, and that'll cover the fees. And yeah, it's very easy to get rid of cards that are just sitting there, and over time that amount will accumulate, and then you can turn that into a PC card, which is something I did recently.
Nice. What card did you buy, if you don't mind me asking? That's pretty
The
cool.
the Marab card. I
Oh,
bought that
really?
with,
Okay.
yeah.
That's
So
sick. We're
the
going to talk about that in a few minutes. So
okay.
stay tuned if you guys are curious about that. We're going to talk about it in a few minutes. Yeah, man. So okay, so you mentioned a few interesting things that I want to pick your brain on there. One, you mentioned price point on specific cards, and that's something that I'm kind of experimenting with too. One thing that I think I did notice that I would do differently just with that send off is I sent in too many cards that are like very very low value, that are like 99 cents, $1.25, $2, things like that. Because like you're saying, while I do think it is still a win to send that off, like the 50% listing, the 5% or whatever, like that does kind of add up. And I did move a lot of 99-cent cards, which is cool, but I do kind of think that maybe I need to just send the cards that maybe are a little bit more in value, maybe, $2 to $3. What are kind of your thoughts on like what cards should you be sending to COMC?
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that because I did the same thing. There's certain cards you look at and you're like, okay, this is numbered. It's a semi decent fighter. Let's say a Donald Cerrone or something,
Yeah.
and you're thinking this is a $2-3 card. What I wasn't doing is going on COMC to see if that card's already on there,
Mm.
and that's something I started doing because I would send the card in, and then when it's time to price it out, you see that there's somebody else trying to sell that card for $1, and you just paid 50 cents. So even if there wasn't any fee, you're only making 50 cents. Then you add in sometimes there's a 25-cent fee, sometimes there's 5%. You end up pretty much selling a dollar card for 25 cents, 30 cents, 40 cents. And that's something I wasn't doing. Pretty much right now, I have a rule that it has to be about a $2 card for me to send it in.
Okay.
Because anything other than that, maybe $1.50 if I have a bunch of them, but after the 50-cent fee, you're making $1. It all depends if that card's on COMC already. For me, that's what I'm going off of. If there's plenty of those cards for $1, you're gonna have to undercut them for yours to sell. And the lower you go, the less profit you're making. I do have the outlet to maybe sell these at a show. So instead of selling
Right.
them $1 card after 50 cents, I'm making 40 cents. I can just put it in a dollar box and somebody will give me the full dollar for it. I know it's just 50 cents here, 50 cents there, but unless it's about a $2 card, I don't send it in. But even if it's a $2 card, if there's a lot of them on COMC already, it's kind of hard for well, the first thing it tells me is this card isn't moving. If there's 10 of them on there, it means that
Yeah.
nobody wants this card.
Yeah.
So
That's a good
you would
point.
have to go lower, lower, and lower. Maybe the guy needs, if it's a current fighter, maybe they have an upcoming fight. But even then, if there's a lot of these cards on COMC, it's kind of hard for you to send more over there and hoping that yours sells when the other ones have not sold. So I have about a $2 rule that anything that's under $2, I because the 50 cents at a time does add up. Like the last submission I did, I sent 700 cards, so that's
Ooh, we.
$350
Yeah.
giving to COMC just right off the bat, and you're hoping to make that up during over time, and it has worked out. But when you're sending in that many cards, I do have another shipment of about 500 cards I'm going to send in, and yeah, you have to start being selective because 50 cents at a time does that up.
Okay, so we talked about the lower end. What about the upper end of cards? Is there like an amount that is so high that you wouldn't list it on COMC and you go straight to eBay? What's kind of your rules on the upper end of that?
Um, the highest I've been sending over there is about $100. I do have because I did get cute in 2016 and 2017, and I was trying to find the next Tom Brady and bought a bunch of football cards. So I was spending 200 here, 200 there. So
Hey, there's
those
the
cards
next
were
Tom
all
Brady,
shipped.
dude. We got that's the
Yeah,
next Tom Brady right there.
which is funny because I never picked up. That was the year I was doing it, so I'm very familiar with the Mahomes rookies. It was just hard for me to pay the going rate because he wasn't starting and his
Yeah.
cards weren't cheap. They weren't cheap looking back. And when I say weren't cheap compared to the prices now, they're cheap. But at the time, they were like $400, $500, $600
Oh
when I
man.
was buying cards that were about $100. And yeah, he was a good prospect, but yeah, I do regret not buying Mahomes because I there
We
was
can
a
add that
couple of
into
them.
the. We can add that into your hauntings. The not
Yeah, that
buying
there
the.
was a few that I almost pulled a trigger, and it would have been a Mahomes 101 auto that I would have bought.
Ooh.
My thinking is I wouldn't have held it that long. If let's say I
Right.
paid $500, if it went up to 2,500, I would have probably cashed in, and now that's a $40,000 card or whatever that card is. But yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So going back, I it's about $100 card, the limit that I used to send a COMC. Anything over that, I try to sell on eBay. Um, so yeah, so that's pretty much the high end would be about $100, I would say.
Okay. Nice. Yeah, I kind of wanted to talk about like talk people through kind of some of your sales here and like realistic realistically what kind of value can you make with sending cards through ComC? Do you want to kind of talk us through this here? And it looks like
Yeah, yeah.
you've
So
really ramped
yeah,
up
like I
over
said,
time.
when I started, I would just I would buy cards on ComC and I started experimenting. I would buy a card and I would put it back for sale. And it wasn't expensive cards. It would be I would buy a $5 card, sell it for $10. I would buy a $10 card, sell it for 12, just making a dollar here, a dollar there. But once I started dropping off cards, um I believe the average right now it's about $20 of what I'm selling because I've made about $3,000, 150. That's a nice even $20. But that's a little misleading because I did sell a couple cards that were 200, 300, but
Yeah.
most of my sales have been from $5 to $3 probably. So that would be the sweet spot. And the first batch of cards I sent in wasn't UFC cards. I also held from my childhood I had a bunch of like Michael Jordan cards, which
Oh,
are now
okay.
about 3, 4, $5 cards. So that anything Jordan sells quickly. So I did have let's say 20, 25 cards, and um those are selling. But UFC cards have been selling as well in that range. So I would say that's the sweet spot. Anything from, like I said, $2 to $20 sells very well on COMC.
Nice. Yeah, I kind of wanted to talk people through kind of my journey here with some of my sales. So I sent stuff in, right? I sent in, I think it was like 200 cards. I've made 164, and I actually bought a bunch of cards as well, which is interesting that you can kind of have money in the COMC ecosystem and kind of just, you have all your cards selling, you have a few dollars, you can buy a couple cards here and there. And you can also buy products through blowout cards here, which I plan to do if I ever sell enough to pay for a product, which would kind of be fun. But yeah, a lot of the sales here are lower end sales, right? We're talking like a dollar or two cards. I bought some fireworks cards, but it is kind of interesting that you just throw it up, right? You just literally send them a box, all in penny sleeves. Get the shipping information, send it to their warehouse. It took me about 3 months, I think, for them to slowly put all of them into the inventory for you, and then you just price them out yourself. And then they slowly sell over time. But it's been a really interesting process and a really fun experiment. And like here it is. So like once they go, right, they upload them for you. They do everything, and then you just come in here and you can change the price, change whatever you want. If they're not selling, like Lewis is saying, you can drop the price, you can tweak it, whatever you want to do, and then they slowly just sell over time. So if you're not doing that, you it should definitely be something that you're thinking about, especially if you have a ton of cards like me and Lewis do sitting around that you're too lazy to list on eBay. Let's say they're like $2, $5, $10 cards that you don't want to list on eBay. Dude, think about doing a bulk send off to COMC. You could potentially sell some cards over time.
Yeah, I think if you've been in here, if you've been in the hobby for a while, the UFC hobby, you probably have a bunch of cards you don't care for, and that's the perfect way to unload them. Like you said, I haven't actually going back to how you submit to COMC. I've never actually mailed anything to them. What I do at the shows, they have a stand at the major shows, so you put all the cards in penny sleeves because you can't have them in top loaders because I think they charge you to take them out of the top loader.
Yeah, they
They
like
have to
scan them
be
straight into the sleeve.
yeah, so you put them in a penny sleeve, and I put them in a box in a row, a 500 count box or something, and you hand it over. Um, I just on a post-it, give them a rough estimate how many cards are in there. Let's say it's 300 cards, and it's pretty simple. You're in and out in a couple minutes. You hand them the box, they print out an invoice, and then you're ready to go. And it does take some time for them to upload them. I think it's about 12 to 16 weeks right now, but yeah, if anything over $100, I think they recommend you use the higher service, which would be like $1 or something, and then that's in there in about 2 weeks. So anything that's graded, when I've submitted graded cards, those do get in the system in about 2 weeks,
Okay.
and then yeah, those cards you can actually sell um list for over $100 because at the 50 cent price that you're sending them in right now, I think there is a fee to sell anything over $100. So if you just pay 50 cents, you're not able to sell it for over $100. So then there is I believe, a $2 fee. So if you pay the fee up front, then once they get loaded in 2 weeks, then you'll be able to sell them. But yeah, it's a nice way to get rid of cars that have just been sitting there. And yeah, you're not that they're trash, but your trash can be somebody else's treasure. Somebody trying to
Yeah.
put a set together. There's a lot of set builders.
Yep.
Another thing, like Zach said, you do accumulate funds over time on COMC, and there's been times you're on eBay and you see a card you like, and it's actually a COMC listing. So this is a great tip for buyers. If you go to COMC, you actually save 15% because the prices on eBay are automatically upped 15% by COMC. So
Oh, that's a
if you
cool
see a
tip.
card that's listed by COMC, don't buy it on eBay. Go to COMC and buy it there, and you'll save 15%.
Nice. I love that. I had no idea that was a thing. Definitely something I'm going to be looking out for in the future. All right, man. That was great. Hopefully, you guys got some good information about COMC. Maybe this will spark you to kind of send some cards off. Also, if I went to more card shows, I'd be doing exactly what Lewis is doing because that is much easier than trying to pack your own box and ship it off and having to pay shipping on that. So definitely something to take advantage of if you're a frequent flyer at like the bigger card shows. All right, man. We got to talk about some big prospect cards that you're buying. Some really, and I don't even want to say prospects. I mean, some of these guys that you're buying are current or past champions. So it's not necessarily prospecting in the sense that like somebody could rise up the rankings. Like they are there. They are at the top of the rankings. And the first one I wanted to talk to you about was this Yuri Prohashka. I think this is Yuri's best card from his rookie year. I really like this one. This was actually on my radar a couple years ago, not the 101, but a card of this because I like his antenna haircut. He's throwing a front kick. It's a on-card auto RPA. Tell us about this one, man.
Yeah, this card was actually purchased in person at the National. So
Oh,
when I went
nice.
to the National in August, I went there with no agenda, just and when you go to the National, just backing up, if you go looking, let's say for a Khabib first auto, you're probably not gonna find it. So I go there just looking for anything interesting, anything low numbered, and I walked by a table and I'm like, wait a minute. Um, it didn't have a price. I asked for the price, and the guy was actually selling it for a buddy. And he
Mhm.
said he's willing to listen to offers. So I stepped away from the table, did a little research, came back with an offer, and the guy straight out told me I can call my buddy, but he's going to decline that. And I said, well, that's probably the highest I can go. And he
Yeah.
said, okay, let me give him a call. He gave him a call, and the guy said, sure, why not? I'll take it. So
Nice.
if I wouldn't have been persistent and had the guy actually make the call, I would have never gotten this card. So I got this card in. Um, from what I can tell, this had never been posted anywhere, like on eBay or any of the online forums or anything. So as soon as I posted it on Instagram, I started getting offers that were way more than what I paid for this card. And
Yeah.
and that's when you start thinking, oh wow, I like this card a little more now. But
Yeah.
yeah, my intention was not to buy this card. It was just being at the right time, right place at the right time. So walking the national, I ended up coming back with three 1-of-1s. I bought this Jerry, I bought a Sean O'Malley 1-of-1, and then I bought a Luke Rockhold 1-of-1. And those are all cards I wasn't out there looking for, but they were there. It was the right price, and I pulled the trigger on them. So yeah, just walking. A lot of people it is overwhelming to go to the national. A lot of people don't like going, but I enjoy looking at cards, even if it's not UFC cards. And like the Luke Rockhold card was in a display case that had nothing to do with UFC. The card was just there. I inquired about it. The guy wanted to get rid of it because he had it for years. And
Right.
yeah, so just going with an open mind to a card show, you can find some goodies because if you go yeah, if you go looking for a specific card, you're not going to find it. There's just so many cards out there.
Yeah, this is a really good one, man. I actually think like you're seeing a huge uptick in fans of Yuri Prohashka too right now, and people are really starting to kind of, I guess, appreciate his style of fighting because it's so rare that you see a guy just go in there and absolutely put the blood and guts wars on nowadays. And he's such a character too. I really think if Yuri could get another really high profile win or get a championship, I think he is going to like go to the moon with his cards because he has that incredible fighting style. He has finishes. He's in great fights. He has, a great personality and he's an interesting character. He just has to get to the top again and win a title. And he's one of those guys where like I think he just matches up bad against Pereira, but against pretty much anybody else, like basically everyone else in his career that he's fought, he's won against. It's just like Pereira just has that style and that power to really test his chin. So this was really cool that you had this card. I love it, man. And the other one that you saw that I was really interested in talking about, and we mentioned it earlier. Hey, if you stuck around, appreciate you for sticking around. We're finally talking about the Marab. Tell us about this one, man. And Marab's getting into like basically best of all time territory in this division. So tell us about this buy.
Yeah, like I said, I've sold about 3 grand worth of cards on COMC, and I cash out every time it reaches about 500-600 bucks. I'll cash it out, and I have the money ready because it does take about 4 or 5 business days to get the money. So I'll cash it out, and I just have it in the account, and I'm ready to strike if something pops up. And once I had a couple of sales hit on COMC, I said, you know what, I'm buying this Rob. Just I think it was sitting on eBay for a while because there isn't comps for something like this. Um, and that's what I'm finding with the gold the the gold prisms that I have that are PSA 10s. They're pop 2. I have both of them. And when I bought them, those are public sales. I paid about 800 and 900 I think for them.
Uh huh.
Um I have people coming to me pretty much weekly saying I'm willing to pay the last comp, which is me buying it a year and a
Right.
half ago.
Yeah.
But then I have people that have offered me 4x, 5x of what I on those Marab. So me knowing that those other Marabs are selling or I'm getting offers for 3, 4, 5 grand, that made me think this one's underpriced for what it is. It's his first on card auto, and it's a 1-on-1 on card auto. And yeah, I didn't have a nice auto of his, and now I do, and I think this price for what I paid for it, it's a public sale as well. I bought it on eBay. So I think this is underpriced just compared to the offers I'm getting for the other cards.
Yeah.
And I think it was there because people are afraid to set a comp. This card sold, I want to say, for about $400 a few years ago.
Wow.
So the
Okay.
guy who bought it made a 5x on this card. I paid about $2,000 for this. So I wasn't afraid to set the comp. I think this card is underpriced based on the offers I'm getting for the other cards. And Marab, what does he have? A 15-5 win streak. He's going to defend his title 4 times this year.
Yeah, dude,
I think
insane.
we're in the next 6 2 months to a year. If he doesn't lose, he might be one of the biggest stars if he's not already in the UFC. And his stuff, I think, currently is underpriced if he continues in the same path that he's going on.
Yeah, so I ever since talking to you, we had our last talk a couple months ago, 6 months ago or so, 3 months ago. I don't even know. Time's flying by, man. But every time I've been talking to you, you've kind of been really into buying these big one of ones and big cards. And I've kind of noticed after kind of looking at it more that there is almost like a slope where once you get up to a certain level, the pricing almost kind of levels off. Do you know what I'm saying? Like you can go from like low to mid to high, but once you get to the high end and you start getting to the upper ends, like you're saying, it does almost seem like some of these should be selling for a little bit more than they are, which is really interesting. And it usually almost happens with the one of ones and like the very low numbered important cards, first autos or true rookies. Do you kind of feel the same way, and is that why you're targeting these one of ones so often?
Yeah, it's I just think there's a lot of one on ones out there that are if it's a especially the autos, if it's an on card one of one first auto or first year auto, and like I bought a like, I think I posted on Instagram, I bought a Sahabi card,
Mm-hmm.
and even Sahabi, I wasn't a big fan of his, but that's his first auto. It's his first auto year. Um, and it's an on card, and I just think for 350 or 300, whatever I paid for it, that's really cheap in my opinion for what boxes are going for nowadays. If you
Right,
can get a
and
one of
one
one
on one,
auto,
yeah, 101, yeah.
so even if he doesn't pan out, I just think the how much are you realistically going to lose on something like that? I think it's always going to hold value because it's a one of one, and yeah, one of ones is what I'm been going after for the last few years, and it just when you sell a one of one or when you start getting offers for your one of ones, it reinforces what you're doing. Like I go to shows and I've been offered. Sometimes I'll take like my John Jones 101 or my Anderson Silva 101, and I've had offers in the 20s for that, and
Wow.
that's serious money already.
Yeah.
And it just reinforces that. And especially when you look at other sports, like the cards that are selling for big bucks, it's the one of ones. Michael Jordan's most expensive card is not his rookie card. It's his one of ones. It's his patch autos. It's cards like that. So I think a lot of times people focus on the rookie card when a one of one, even if it's second year one of one or a third year one of one, those are the cards in other sports that are selling for more than the rookie cards. And I just think cards like that are not appreciated right now, and that's what I've been going after.
I love it, man. That's kind of been what I've been noticing as well. And when you're talking about like, well, what makes a card worth X amount of money? Well, it's supply and demand, right? 101, that's it, dude. There's no like you have the one, that's it. So I completely agree with kind of that whole sentiment, and it's been something that I've kind of been trying to pay more attention to. Now the buy-in is a lot higher, right? And like especially now like the Zahabi is a good example of maybe something that's more approachable, something that somebody in kind of my price range right now, or a lot of people, a lot of collectors could probably get behind that, like mid-tier five, 3 500 kind of lower high-end card. But yeah, when you're talking about 20,000s or like 3 5,000, like I think some people are going to be priced out, but I do think the logic still applies, and it completely makes sense. As far as, especially with the Marab, when you're talking about somebody that's surging, when you bought this, he was still, how many times did he already defended? Like two or three?
When I bought the the gold prism. I want to say he was already champion. He had beaten O'Malley. So now you're buying a champion
Yeah.
in the UFC for $800. I mean, people love the golds. When you start searching at completed sales of gold cards, those sell very well. And Marab wasn't liked, and I think people are starting to appreciate him a little more. And it was just crazy to me of what that card was listed for, and I went ahead and bought him, and I don't regret buying them because I've had nice offers on them. But yeah, it's just a lot of times there's a lot of people that are stuck on the comps, and yeah, sometimes the comps doesn't make sense if the card hasn't sold in a while, if a
Right.
card's low numbered. So yeah, these low numbered cards is what I've been focusing on, and it's great because you're holding a card that, like you said, it's one of a kind, and if somebody really wants it, you're the only one that has it, and they're just cool cards.
Yeah, great. Hopefully everybody can take a little bit from that conversation. Now, granted, again, it's a little bit higher end, so it's not going to be necessarily everybody's bag, but definitely some cool, interesting thoughts there. And I wanted to talk about these also. This is a recent purchase that I saw you. Also, you posted this on your YouTube channel. So if you're not already, go subscribe over at MMA Cardboard. Lewis is making some YouTube vids nowadays, which is sweet. Keep doing that, man. And this is going to be the Victorious debut set, and this is a gold, man. So talk us through kind of your thought process on why you wanted to complete this, and then how long did it take you? What would you even value something like this? Because this is a monster set.
Uh, you know what? This little binder was my you inspired me for this, so thank you for the
Oh,
inspiration.
cool.
So I did get an ad in on my Instagram actually, and I saw these folders with the where you can slide the top loaders in there, and I
Hmm.
said this is perfect. I know exactly what I'm gonna put in there. At the time, I the only card I was missing was the Anderson Silva. So I do have a complete set of this, which is
Uh-huh.
actually in the PSA registry. So every single card is graded by PSA. I want to say 15 out of the 20 cards are PSA 10s.
Wow,
So
that's monster.
I do have a complete set. So this is my second complete set. I was always too cheap to buy another Anderson Silva. I think they go for about 350 to $500. Um, so when there was one in auction, I went for it. I won it, and that completed the set. So I want to say this is my second set, and I'm close to completing the third set. But yeah, it's I have been buying these. This is my favorite set of all time.
Yeah.
My favorite insert set. The Victorious debuts. I just think they're cool. The only problem I have with the set is that it would have been super cool if they added GSP and Hoist Gracie in there. Like, how cool would it be to have those?
Oh
So
man.
there's an Anderson Silva in there, but it's missing GSP and Hoist Gracie. But the other big names are in there, like Frankie Edgar, Nate Diaz. So yeah, these are numbered to 88. You would get, I believe, you get two cards numbered to 88 out of a box. So it's usually one of these and a relic, or a relic and a top 10. But yeah, with those boxes being so expensive now, like 3,000
Right.
bucks,
Yeah.
I think this set's probably impossible to complete now. Um, so yeah, even the no names, I think the lower name guys are going for like 75 bucks or so. So it does get kind of pricey to try to put the set together, but it's a cool set. The cards just in person have a nice shine to it, the gold, and they're out of 88. And
Yeah.
yeah, this
Very
is my
limited.
favorite set, my favorite card. That Kim Velasquez in there. I think I own about a quarter of the print run. So that one and the yeah, that one at the bottom. So yeah, that's my favorite, one of my favorite King Velasquez cards. Yeah, that's just a cool set. I probably waited 3-4 years to try to find that Anderson Silva, just because I didn't want to pull the trigger on the going rate. But yeah, I'm working on the third set now, and
I'm glad you
yeah,
did, because yeah, when I saw that, I completed the base set, and you actually helped me with a couple of those cards, so thank you again for that. But yeah, I was like, I thought the base set was like, dude, this is freaking sick. look at this base set's completed. And then I saw this and I was like, what? Like of 88 gold, this guy's a madman. To know that you have almost 3 completed is insane. What are your plans? Like the obviously I would assume the PSA 10 one, you're probably going to hold that close to your chest. What are your plans for the binder set and for the one that you're completing? Are you going to try and sell that? Do you just want to, you think this is going to be a really big set over time and you kind of want to just hold on to it for a while? What are your plans?
Yeah, I don't know what my plans are for the second set. Maybe if I do complete a third set, maybe I'll put one up for sale as a complete set and see what the interest is on something like this. But yeah, this is just it's something I collect pretty much because I it is my favorite set.
Yeah.
Um, just a little to go on a little side story here, since I do have this set in the PSA registry, for anybody that visits the national, PSA does have a dinner, a registry dinner every year. So having a set in the registry actually gives you an entry to enter the event. So I've gone for the last 3 years, and they're cool events. It's free food, open bar, and athletes go there. This last year in Chicago, we had Jerry Rice was there, so
Okay.
you get to talk to Jerry Rice, hang out with Jerry Rice. The year before that, Dominic Wilkins was there, so you get packs of cards, you get a free meal, so it's a nice thing to do, and that's all free by entering a set in the registry. So if anybody has any cards in the PSA registry, that's your ticket to get in that private event.
Nice, man. As we get close to wrapping up here, because I know that mask is just, super glued to your face right now. I can tell you're ready to take that off. As of these glasses are too small; they're squeezing my head, dude. But I wanted to ask you about, since we're talking about set collecting, do you mainly target vintage sets? Do you collect anything somewhat modern or modern sets? What are your thoughts on that?
Sets wise, like I said earlier, I don't think I'm gonna complete any more sets. Just because it's hard for me to justify paying I guess if it's a lower end set it doesn't matter, but it's hard for me to justify paying big prices to complete a set for something I for fighters don't really care for. So like
Okay.
I know people are into collecting like the round one auto set. um I understand buying the big names like the
Yeah.
Hoist Gracies or Randy Coutures, but when you start paying big bucks for like the lower names, I'd rather take that money and buy another Hoist Gracie or another Randy Couture. So yeah, financially it always doesn't make sense for me to spend money on a set because I'd rather have two of the main card. And yeah, so set wise, I haven't been going after sets. Just like the newer products, I've been very patient. I own zero 2025 cards. So I know we're what are we, 3, 4 releases in, and I have yet to buy any cards. Um, since I am going after one of ones, I tend to be a little more selective. But when you are buying one of ones, you can't really target fighters. You get what you get. So if Carlos Olberg, I wasn't looking to buy a Carlos Olberg one of one, but it popped up, and that's what you buy. So so when you're buying with the stuff I'm buying, you can't focus on a certain fighter because that fighter may never come. So you're
Right.
focusing
Okay.
on one-on-one cards, and you get to enjoy the card for what it is. And then, and then if the price is right, and then the fighter is somebody that you can learn to cheer for, then that's even better. But yeah, I've started cheering for fighters I would never think I would cheer for,
Yeah.
just because I have their one-on-ones.
Yeah, no doubt. I think everybody within the card community has experienced that where, you buy you kind of like a guy, you buy his card and then that becomes like, oh man, like I can't wait to see him fight. You're cheering hard. You hope he wins. You celebrate the victories, and then when they lose, you are devastated, because you have a little piece of that. But thanks for coming on, man. It's been a great chat. Nacho Luis is in the house. Everybody, go follow him on Instagram. Check out his YouTube. MMA Cardboard is where he's at. And happy Halloween to everybody.
Happy Halloween.